Hello, and a warm welcome to our show, Love Athletics. In this program, we bring you the latest highlights from our sport with expert input from different continental areas. Now, there were several top events in the past week, including the US Championships and Trials, Jamaica Championships and Trials, and the Central America and Caribbean Games. So rather than having one invited journalist, we decided to ask several of them to send videos telling us about the highlights from the top event in their area. So let's start with the US trials, which were held on 6 to 9 July in Eugene. And hear from photographer Christian Peterson about his favorite moments.
Hello and good day to the sports passion fans, fanatics, athletes, all of you out there. Happy to be here. My name is Christian Peterson. I am a staff photographer at Getty Images. I was asked by Sports Passion to speak about the 2023 World Outdoor Championships, which just concluded in Eugene. I just got back and had an amazing time. The sport was incredible. The passion was dynamic. The atmosphere was electric. It was a great time. I was asked maybe I could talk about a few of my favorite moments, which is really difficult because athletics is bound with so much going on. That's the exciting part, that there's so much variety. It's hard to put your finger on one or two special things, but I would say I love the short track speed. Seeing Sha'Carri run 10.82, ripping her wig off and getting everyone off their butts, standing up, cheering, that was awesome. I also love the 200s. I'm a big fan of Gabby. I mean, she's just incredible. I love decathlon. The decathlon was great. There was a lot of newer faces for me out there. I'll never forget seeing Ashton Eaton break 9,000 points out in Beijing. That was special. But Harrison was incredible. Decathlon's a great sport with obviously the most variety, and it's just awesome to see these athletes perform in all these different facets. But I will say my favorite experience this last week, and it's often my favorite, is seeing Valerie Allman throw the discus. Valerie is amazing. She makes it look so easy. She's so refined. She's floats up there. I mean, I think she threw a 67 something, not topping her best, around 71, but she's incredible. When she throws, it's like she's dancing. She's great for photos. She's always screaming and cheering and applauding, and that's what we look for as photographers: great action, great form, great emotion. I mean, she's everything we look for in an event like this. And yeah, I'd say those were my highlights: the hundreds, the 200s, the decathlon, and of course the women's discus. Not to say anything less about any of the other athletes who performed, but they're just so incredible, and I wish them all the best going forward to Budapest and next year in Paris. Thanks for having me. Have a great day.
Thank you, Christian. That really sums it up, not just for photographers, but for all athletics lovers. Great action, great form, great emotion. And at the 2023 US trials, there were many such moments. Top marks came as expected in the sprints and hurdles. Among the women, there were some impressive sprinting by Sha'Carri Richardson, who first set a short-lived world lead in the 100-meter heats with 10.71. She then ran 10.75 in the semifinals, where last year's Oregon 22 finalist Aaliyah Hobbs was among the surprise eliminations. On the start line of the final, Richardson tore off the orange wig she had sported in the early rounds before speeding to the finish in 10:82, ahead of Brittany Brown, 10.90, and Tamari Davis, 10.99. In the longer distance, Gabby Thomas produced some sensational times, clocking 21.86 in the semis and 21.60 in the final, into a headwind of 0.4 meters per second to move into number 4 in the all-time lists. And the mark is also the best women's performance of the week across all events. Behind her, Sha'Carri Richardson improved her PB to 21.94, and Kalia White, the 2019 NCAA indoor champion at the distance, completed the podium. So for both Richardson and Thomas, it was a great comeback. Sha'Carri Richardson had criticism piled on her in the last 2 years, after in 2021, she was suspended for 3 months for cannabis, ruling her out of the Olympics, while in 2022, she failed to pass the first round in the 100 meters in the trials and missed out on the final in the 200 meters. And for Gabby Thomas, the Tokyo bronze medalist, was injured before the last year's trials and didn't qualify for Oregon 22. So great comeback from both of them. They're in great shape, and they will lead a very competitive US team, which will definitely need them in the battle in Budapest against the Jamaican ladies and Marie-Josée Talou. Among the men, performances were not as exceptional, but there was lots of drama. It was a little surprising to see Crevant Charleston win the 100 meters in 9.95, ahead of Christian Coleman, 9.96, and Noah Lyles, 10 flat. Noah Lyles was recovering from COVID. Curley was absent, as he has a wild card as the reigning champion, and 2 other medalists were out. Marvin Bracey limped out in the first round, and Trayvon Bromell was 4th. Now, Charleston had never won an NCAA or USA track and field title before, but we mustn't forget that he was the only other US sprinter, along with Fred Curley, to have 2 marks this season under 9.92, as he had already run 9.90 and 9.91. In the 200 meters, victory for Ariane Knighton was no surprise, as the talented teenager took the title over Kenny Bednarek and Courtney Lindsay. So Sha'Carri Richardson and Noah Lyles, who ran the 100 meters and has a wild card in the 200 as the defending champion, were the only 2 athletes to make the US team in both sprints, after Fred Curley, reigning 100-meter champion, finished 4th over the 200 meters. And Christian Coleman was the only other male athlete to contest both the finals, while among the women, in addition to Richardson, 3 other ladies made both sprint finals, including 17-year-old Mia Brahe Pedersen, who produced some truly remarkable times. She ran 11:05 in the heats, 11:09 in the semis, advancing where more experienced and titled athletes were lost along the way, and she ran 11:08 to finish 7th in the final. And in the 200, she improved to 22.58 in the semis and clocked 22.65 in the final for 8th place. Truly extraordinary athlete. And we'll speak more about Mia Brahe Pedersen in the under 20, under 18 section. Sprints, as we saw, were exciting, but the most exceptional performance of the championships came from Rai Benjamin in the 400 hurdles, as the Olympic and World Championship silver medalist clocked an outstanding 46.62, his 2nd best mark ever after the amazing Tokyo final, and the 5th best mark of all time. The men's 400 hurdles is definitely one of the events I most look forward to in Budapest. Ryan Krauser produced another excellent series with 4 throws over 22 meters and a best of 22.86 to take the title over Oregon 22 bronze medalist Josh Awotunde and Peyton Oderdahl, while double world champion Joe Kovacs finished 4th. But all 4 will represent the US in Budapest, as Krauser is the defending world champion. In the women's shot put, Oregon 22 winner Chase Ely was also 4th, but again, she will be in Budapest having a wild card. 2 other athletes were surprisingly finished 4th, and they will not make it to the World Championships. In the pole vault, Casey Lightfoot was only 4th on countback at 5 meters 81, although he had cleared 6 meters 07 and 6 meters earlier this year. And as we saw, Fred Curley finished 4th in the 200 meters, failing in his bid to be selected for both sprints. There was one final athlete I would like to highlight, and that is Juvon Harrison, who again qualified for both the high jump, which he won, and the long jump, where he was 3rd. Harrison had already achieved this feat at the Tokyo Olympics, where he reached the final in both events, while in 2022, he was selected only for the high jump and was 9th in the final. In the same days as the US trials, the Jamaican championships and trials took place in Kingston. And as expected, there was some fast sprinting there. The best result came from 200-meter world champion Shericka Jackson, who over the shorter distance, in the absence of reigning world champion Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, dominated the race, improving her PB to 10.65 to become the equal 5th fastest woman of all times. And the 200-meter world champion made it a double, taking the longer distance in an excellent 21.71. The men's 100-meter final was also predictably fast, but the winner unexpected, as Rohan Watson, who before the start of the competition had a PB of 10.12, improved to 9.98 in the heats and triumphed in 9.91 in the final over Raheem Ford with 9.96, and his previous PB was 10.18, and Oblique Sevilla, who was 4th in Oregon 22 in 10 flat. Another huge surprise came in the 400 hurdles, where 19-year-old Roshan Clark, the bronze medalist in the World Under 20 Championships last year, dominated the race in 47.85, ahead of double World Under 20 champion and Oregon 22 finalist Jaheel Hyde in 48.45. Clark's time is the 4th on the senior lists this year and equaled the World Under 20 record, which had been set by Sean Burrell in 2021 when winning the first of his 2 NCAA titles. On the last day of the championships, high hurdler Rashid Broadbell, the 2022 Commonwealth Games winner, clocked an excellent 12.94 to take the title in Kingston and the world lead. On 7 and 8 July, the Kenya trials for the World Championships took place in Nairobi. Among the men, the best result came from African and Commonwealth Games 100-meter champion Ferdinand Omanyala, who clocked 9.85, the 3rd best mark this year, just 1/100th of a second off his seasonal best. And among the women, the most interesting result was Faith Kipyegon's win over 5,000. Of course, at the Nairobi altitude, times were not fast, but the world record holder finished in 14 minutes 53.90. But her win means that she will contest both the 1,500 and the 5,000 in Budapest. So looking forward to that. The Central American and Caribbean Games were recently held, and the athletics events took place between 2 and 8 July in San Salvador. Mexican journalist Katia Lopez was the stadium announcer there, and she tells us about the key moments of the event.
Hello, dear friends from Love Athletics. How have you been? This is Katia Lopez, a Mexican journalist, and I'm with you here again to share with you some of the greatest news in the track and field in this side of the world. Well, as you may know, last week we had the Central American and Caribbean Games in San Salvador, which, by the way, these are the oldest regional games in the world. It started in Mexico City in 1926. But in this, that was the edition number 24 in San Salvador. We saw Olympic and world medalists competing in the Estadio Nacional Jorge Mágico González. For example, we saw the relay, the 4x400 meter mixed relay from the Dominican Republic, and with it Marilady Paulino. Kirshen Walcott, the javelin thrower from Trinidad and Tobago, Jasmine Camacho Quinn in the 100-meter hurdles from Puerto Rico, and of course the queen of the triple jump, she is Yulimar Rojas from Venezuela. At almost 450 athletes from more than 30 countries competed in these games, and in 5 days of competition we saw 15 new records of the games. For example, with Rosa Rodriguez from Venezuela at the women's hammer throw, Aiden Owens, this guy who was number 4 in the World Championships in Oregon in the decathlon, he broke the record of the games in the decathlon in San Salvador. Cuba broke the female records in the relay 4x100 and 4x400. Natalia Liñares from Colombia at the long jump, Lázaro Martinez from Cuba at the triple jump, and of course Marilady Paulino at the 400 meters. And with the 4x400 meters mixed set, a new record of the games because this was the debut for this event. Jasmine Camacho Quinn at the 100-meter hurdles broke the record of the games, and Yulimar Rojas at the triple jump couldn't be different. She broke the record of the games. But the queen of these games was the long-distance runner from Venezuela, Jocelyn Brea, who ran, won, and broke 3 different records on this San Salvador Games. She ran the half marathon, the 5,000, and the 1,500 with record and gold and everything else for Venezuela. But the best was that the winter to qualify for the Games of Paris 2024 started in July the 1st, and athletics began in these regional games the next day. So 9 athletes from our region made the Olympic standards at San Salvador 2023. Of course, Yulimar Rojas from Venezuela, Leilanis Perez, and Lázaro Martinez from Cuba, all on the triple jump. From Colombia, Natalia Liñares at the long jump, and on the track we saw Alexander Uganda from the Dominican Republic at the 200 meters, and from the Dominican Republic too, Marilady Paulino with Joram Richards from Trinidad and Tobago, and Michael Joseph from St. Lucia, all of them in the 400 meters. Finally, Jasmine Camacho Quinn at the 100-meter hurdles. But on the route, I think we had the most emotional moment, not just for athletics, in the whole games, because we saw Mexican race walker Jose Luis Dr. Morales winning the 20 kilometers of race walking, and once he received his gold medal, he went to his coach, Raúl González, the double Olympic medalist of Los Angeles 1984, and said, "Coach, this is your medal," and he gave the medal to his coach. So, as you can see, we had a lot of wonderful experiences at San Salvador 2023, but we have just 4 months to go to the Pan American Games at Santiago de Chile, and surely we will have many more emotions to share with you, and excellent performance from the athletes that will be competing in the Continental Games. So, it was a pleasure to be with you again. I hope you have a lot of throws, jumps, runs, and shining experience in the track and field this week. It was a pleasure to say hello, and I say goodbye. Hope to see you soon.
Thank you, Katia. Great stories from El Salvador. And here is one of the emotional moments Katia mentions.
Profe, y ahora el señor doctor le impone la medalla que ganó a su profesor.
Thank you, Kathy, for sending us the video of Jose Luis Doctor putting the 20-kilometer race walk gold medal around the neck of his coach. I would also like to highlight, as Kathy already pointed out, the win by Venezuela's Olympic and triple world champion Yulimar Rojas, because it's the first jump over the season over 15 meters, as she landed at 15 meters 0.16, ahead of Cubans Leyanis Perez, who was very close with a best of 14 meters 98 and another jump at 14.94, and Liagdamis Povea with 14.85. In the 400 meters, Dominica's Olympic silver medalist Marilady Paulino clocked 49.95 to win her individual event, as well as taking gold in the mixed 4x400 relay and silver in the women's mile relay. Another remarkable performance came St. Lucia's multiple NCAA champion Julian Alfred, who won the 100 meters in 11.14 into a headwind of 2.2 meters per second. And what a great games by Venezuela's 5,000 meter South American record holder Jocelyn Brea, as Kathy told us. 3 golds in 3 events in 6 days. She first won the half marathon in 1 hour 15:04. The very next day, she won the 5,000 in 15:10.60. And finally, 3 days later, a little bit of rest, thank goodness, the 1,500 meters in 4 minutes 10.39. And all were games records. Felicidades, Jocelyn. The best men's result came from Trinidad and Tobago's Jareem Richards, who clocked a PB of 44.54 to win the 400 meters. And among the men, my special mention goes to Mexico's Juan Luis Barrios, a double Olympic finalist over 5,000. The 40-year-old competed in his 6th consecutive games, adding another CACG medal, a bronze in the half marathon, to his impressive collection, which includes 7 golds over 3 distances, 1,500, 5,000, and 10,000. Felicidades, Juan Luis. The medal table saw Cuba top with 28 medals in total, of which 9 gold, followed by Mexico, 7 golds and 23 medals, and Puerto Rico, also with the help of 1 medal from Olympic champion Jasmine Camacho Quinn, 6 golds and 12 medals, followed by Venezuela, 6 golds, of which 3 by Brea, and Dominican Republic, 5 golds and a total of 14 medals. 14 countries in total won gold, and 24 different countries won medals, including a couple which had never won medals before, which is always cool. On 4 to 7 July, the Arab Games were held in Oran in Algeria. The best mark of the athletics events came in the 3,000 meters steeplechase from Bahrain's Winfred Mutile Yavi, who won the race in a fast 9 minutes 04:58, the 4th best mark of the season. But it's time now to go back to the global overview of our sport and check the world leads set in the past 7 days. Of course, there were no Diamond League meetings, but numerous world leads were set, especially in the US and Jamaican trials. Here they are. Among the men, there was just one. It was Rashid Broadbell with an excellent 12.94 in the high hurdles. Among the women, Sha'Carri Richardson first set a world lead of 10.71 in the 100, but that was bettered the following day by Shericka Jackson with 10.65. In the 200 meters, Shericka Jackson set a world lead of 21.71, but that was bettered hours later by Gabby Thomas, who clocked an impressive 21.60. In the 400 meters, Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone continues to improve, and her 48.74 is a world lead in the event. And in pole vault, Katie Moon, 4 meters 90 in winning the US trials, for first athlete over 490 this year. And as we saw, Yulimar Rojas, first athlete over 15 meters in the triple jump. However, as not all world leads are top-level marks, we will also continue to check the best results of the past week, and starting with the senior men's events. As we saw, Ferdinand Omanyala, 9.85, third performance of the season. Also fast times in Kingston at the Jamaican trials. First, Kishane Thompson, 9.91 in the heats, and then Rohan Watson, same time to win the final. In the 200 meters, Arion Knighton's winning time of 19.72 is the second best mark of the season after Noah Lyles' 19.67. Good marks also for Kenny Bednarek, who was second in 19.82, and Courtney Lindsay in 19.85, while Fred Curley's 19.86 was not sufficient to get him to Budapest in the 200. And there was an interesting mark, albeit with a favorable wind of 2.3 meters per second, and that was Zarnell Hughes, 19.77 in the British trials in Manchester. In the 110 hurdles, Rashid Broadbell, 12.94, best mark of the season. Now, Cordell Tinch had some fast running in Eugene, but the winner of the trials was Daniel Roberts with a performance of 13.05. Cordell Tinch had run 13.04 in the heats, in the semis, and 13.07 in the heats, and finally 13.08 in the final. Grant Holloway, who only needed, he didn't need to contest the final. He ran the heats and 13.07 and then didn't go on. So that'll be interesting sprinting in the high hurdles between US and Jamaican athletes in Budapest. 400 hurdles, we saw Rai Benjamin, 46.62, second best mark of the season, but also Karsten Warholm at the Norwegian Championships ran a very fast 46.76. So for Rai Benjamin, it's the number 5 mark of all time, and for Karsten Warholm, that is now number 8 in the all-time list, marks, not performance. Roshan Clark, as we saw, 47.85 with his world under 20 best, another excellent performance. In the pole vault, Curtis Marshall of Australia cleared 5 meters 95 in Sotteville in France, while Chris Nielsen won the US trials with 5 meters 91. Shot put, great performance with 22 meters 86 by Ryan Krauser, second best mark of the season after his world record. Good performances for Josh Awotunde, 22:10 and 22:09 for Peyton Otterdal, while Joe Kovac's 21 meters 90 gives him fourth place and still allows him to be in Budapest. In the discus throw, Christian C. and Daniel Stahl continued their battle at a distance this time, with Christian C. winning the Slovenian championships in 70 meters 54, and Daniel Stahl winning the Swedish championships in 69.80. And in the decathlon, a new face, as Christian Peterson said, with Harrison Williams winning the US trials with 8,630 points. Let's check now the best women's mark of last week. Fast sprinting, as we saw. Among the women, trade in world leads by first Sha'Carri Richardson, then Shericka Jackson. Sha'Carri Richardson also very fast in the semis with 10.75 and fast in the final with 10.82. In the 200 meters, again, a swap in world leads. First Shericka Jackson, 21.72, improved by Gabby Thomas to 21.60. And of course, she had clocked 21.86 in the semis. Sha'Carri's 21.94 is also very fast. Kyla White finished third in 22.01. Tamara Clark had clocked 22.02 in the semis, and Abby Steiner was fourth in 22.07 in the 200 meters final. Now, Sha'Carri Richardson had a really fast but windy with a favorable 2.6 wind, 21.61 in the heats. As we saw, Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone improving to 48.74, which now brings her to number 10 of all time. In the 100 hurdles, women, it was interesting to see Nia Ali, now 34-year-old, winning the trials in 12.37, ahead of Alicia Johnson, who had clocked the same time in the semis. In the pole vault, we saw Katie Moon and triple jump Yulimar Rojas. Hammer throw in Eugene, good throw for Brooke Anderson, fifth performance of the year with 78 meters 0.65. In the heptathlon, Anna Hall, second performance of the year with 6,677 points. An area record was also set on 8 July by Australia's Joseph Deng, who clocked 1:43.99 in Dessines, France. First man from the continent to run below 1 minute 44. Now, several under 20 and under 18 athletes also registered great performances over the past fortnight. Starting with the under 20 marks, we saw in the 400 hurdles, Roshan Clark set a world under 20 championships. Among the women, in the 200 meters, Shanti Jackson improved to 22.48, which is equal number 15th in the under 20 all-time list. Christine Mallard, 50.74 in the 400 meters. Now, both athletes were running in the under 20 championships, which were held at the same time as the senior championships and trials. Shanti Jackson had run the 100 meters in the senior race and then the 200 in the under 20 race. Over 5,000, Asa Medina of Ethiopia had run 14 minutes 40:02 in the bad weather in Stockholm, moving up to number 12 in the all-time, moving up from number 12 to number 5 in the under 20 all-time list. And on 12 July, Ainadis Mebrit, also of Ethiopia, clocked 14.4570 to move up to number 8 in the under 20 all-time lists. In the pole vault, Hannah Moll came third in the senior US championship, so she will be in Budapest. And she, with her 4.61 m, she moves up to equal number 2 in the under 20 all-time list. Among the under 18 athletes, top results came at the US championships and trials, expectedly in the sprints. Among the men, 17-year-old Christian Miller, whom we see here winning the 200 meters, was competing in the under 20 competition, and he won both sprints. In the shorter distance, he clocked 10.06 to improve the world under 20 best, which had belonged to Thai talent Puripol Bunson, who had run 10.09 last August. So looking at the top marks for under 18 athletes, we saw Christian Miller in both sprints, world under 20 best in the world under 18 best in the 100, moves up to number 13 in the all-time under 18 lists in the 200. In Decin, Cameron Myers of Australia ran 3:35:01 to climb up to number 6 in the under 18 of all times. And in the hammer throw, Poland's Roch Krukowski threw 81:60 to move to number 13 in the all-time list. Myers is the third world under 18 area record in just under 2 weeks for the talented Aussie, who had already climbed to the top of the Oceania lists on 21 July, then improved his own mark on the 1st of July. Among the women, the most impressive under 18 performances came from US sprinter Mia Brahe Pedersen, who chose to compete in the senior US championships instead of the under 20 competition. And she reached the final in both the 100 and 200. So she clocked 11:05 in the heats, which would be number 3 in the under 18 all-time lists. But for some reason, which I don't understand, Mia Brahe Pedersen's performances are not yet in the World Athletics lists for the category. She then clocked 11:09 in the semis and 11:08 in the final, which would be equal number 5 mark on the under 18 all-time lists. In the 200, she was also impressive, 22:58 in the semis, which would be equal number 6 in the all-time list, and 22:65, which would be number 8 on the under 18 all-time lists. In the 200, Elise Cooper, competing in the under 20 championships, clocked 22.85, which is listed as equal number 11 on the all-time list, but that doesn't include all of Mia Brahe Pedersen's performance. And Else Cooper is only 16, so very impressive running. Another great mark, which was registered in the Stockholm Diamond League on 2 July, was Zion Abebe of Ethiopia, 15 minutes 07:45 in the 5,000 meters, which is number 10 under 18 of all times. So Mia Brahe Pedersen's, as we saw, were absolutely excellent. And only Candace Hill, who was a double world under 18 championships gold medalist in 2015 and world under 20 100-meter gold aged 17 in 2016, has achieved such a depth of performances over those 2 years, setting world under 18 best of 1098, as well as other great performances. So let's look now at upcoming events as we reach the end of our show. Over the next fortnight, the Asian Championships are underway in Bangkok, having started on 12 July, and they conclude on Sunday. The European Athletics Under 23 Championships are also underway in Espoo, Finland, and they also finish on Sunday. On Sunday, we also have the next Diamond League, Halmila Scholimovska Memorial in Chorzów. On 18 July, the Istvan Gyulai Memorial in Székesfehérvár. On 21 July, Hercules Monaco Diamond League meeting. On 21 to 23 July, NACAC Under 23 Championships in San Jose, Costa Rica. 22 to 23 Balkan Championships in Kraljevo, Serbia. And on 23 July, third Diamond League meeting in quick succession in London. 28 to 30 July is then the South American Championships in Sao Paulo in Brazil. So we're now at the end of our program. It was great having Christian and Katja send their input from the US trials and the Central American and Caribbean Games. Thank you all for watching. And next week, we will be starting our continent by continent review of perspectives for the World Championships in Budapest. So stay tuned. See you next week on Love Athletics to look together at the highlights, comments, and analysis of what's been happening in our sport over the past 7 days. Bye-bye. Thank you.